This morning on News Watch 12, holiday travel begins this weekend, and it's going to be a busy week on both the roads and at the airports. We'll tell you everything you need to know, from weather to road closures. And one county in Southern Oregon is trying to keep the roads safe this holiday by being extra alert for impaired drivers. And in a couple of minutes, another recall on ground turkey. We will tell you which kind specifically is recalled.
Watching out for you. This is News Watch 12 this morning.
Lawmakers left Capitol Hill last night with no agreement for a spending bill, leading the government to a partial shutdown. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Leah Thompson. Negotiations are expected to continue over the weekend.
Let's get it done. The shutdown hopefully will not last long.
The Senate.
After a dramatic day, the Senate adjourned Friday night without a deal to avert a government shutdown, but an agreement to keep working.
I hope Senate Democrats will work with the White House on an agreement that can pass both houses of Congress and receive the president's signature.
Lines of communication between key players did reopen in a last-minute effort. Early Friday afternoon, a government shutdown seemed inevitable. Senate Republicans returning to Capitol Hill after a meeting at the White House where the president reiterated he wouldn't budge on his border security demands. Later, the White House sent Vice President Pence, Budget Chief and incoming Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney, and Advisor Jared Kushner to Capitol Hill to meet first with Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer.
We are willing to continue discussions on those proposals with the leader, the president, the Speaker of the House, and the Leader of the House.
Thursday night, House Republicans furiously worked to pass a stopgap spending bill, extending government funding until February and adding $5.7 billion for a wall. The House also adjourned Friday night, waiting for the next move.
I am not bringing any bill to the floor that does not have the support of the president.
The president Friday night putting the shutdown burden on the Senate.
Now it's up to the Senate, and it's really up to the Democrats, because we need their votes.
This partial government shutdown impacts 9 of the 15 cabinet-level departments, a number of agencies. It accounts for about 25% of government funding, and about 420,000 federal workers will be working without pay until the shutdown is over. New this morning, Rural Metro Fire responded to a crash involving elk in Merlin. These are photos from the fire department's Facebook page. Officials say one elk was killed and another possibly injured, but it ran away. 7 vehicles were involved in the crash. 5 of the vehicles had to be towed away. No drivers or passengers were injured. OSP says if local residents spot any injured or dead elk, to contact them. And kids wanting to track Santa on Christmas Eve will be able to do it again this year. North American Aerospace Defense Command posted assurances on its Twitter page yesterday. For the last 63 years, NORAD has tracked Santa through the night as he delivers gifts to boys and girls around the world. The organization's tweet says even if there is a government shutdown, it will continue the tradition. That's because NORAD explains the military personnel who works on the Santa tracker are volunteers. According to the group, there are approximately 1,500 volunteers who make the program possible each and every year. And this weekend is also the beginning of holiday traveling, and that means busy airports and packed roadways. Flights to and from the West Coast could be seeing some delays and maybe even some cancellations because of weather. Yesterday, flights to and from Seattle and San Francisco were seeing the majority of delays and cancellations. Newswatch 12 spoke to passengers trying to beat the rush by heading out earlier. Steve Oslin and his wife were on their way to Arizona to enjoy a warmer Christmas this year.
Why did we choose to fly out today? Let me see. Well, that's a really good question. Made him stay in school for a couple more days.
Steve is talking about his grandson, and their flight did leave on time yesterday. The airport managers are saying to get to the airport earlier because lines will be long and crowds will be at record numbers. And if you're traveling by car, you will be happy to know that the I-5 and I-84 closures will be put on hold until after January 1st. Road work will continue through the night as long as weather allows. There will be intermittent closures on nights and weekends, including the ramp from I-5 southbound to I-84 eastbound, the ramp from I-84 westbound to I-5 southbound. along with the ramp from I-84 westbound to I-5 northbound. Most of the work has been completed, but travelers should use detours or public transportation to avoid driving in those areas during the closures.